Hello everyone, it is me, Pui, and I'm back again today with more retro format gameplay. But is it going to be GOAT? No. No siree. No mammy. No non-binary. No GOAT today. Oh no. We've got a new location. We've got a new format. It's gonna be Edison Day, baby! For those of you who don't know, the Edison format is the name given to the March 2010 format. It's named after SJC Edison, the only large-scale event to use that format spanless. It has a wide card pool and a wide selection of powerful decks to choose from. I myself have had very few forays into the Edison format. You might remember me from my video with James Ark playing an adaptation of Panda Bird against some random. I also tried my hand at RBET2 with a Chainburn variation of that same deck, and the last time I played Edison was the Dr. Cranium incident. But today we're going to be playing Dragon Turbo. That's right, Dragon Turbo, the deck known for drawing cards, putting bodies on the field, and wrecking face as fast as possible. This deck shreds through itself nearly every game. Most games I'm worried about decking out and seeing if I can get the kill beforehand, but usually having a red med, a second red med, a third red med, a white knight, and a blue-eyes white dragon gets the job quite well. Beyond that, we have Debris Dragon for synchro plays, and also Instant Fusion to facilitate quicker dragon summons. The deck shreds through itself pretty well, and on top of all that, we even have Future Fusion, which we can use just like a normal dragon deck can to make 5-head and also pop up our dragons on the field. The deck is absolutely sweet. It's one of the best things I've ever played, and I'm going to show you some gameplay of that today. So without further ado, let's get right to it. I am against Suguitsikor, and I am on the play. I draw an absolute brick of the hand and have no choice but to simply pass. My opponent sets one monster and two back row in an infuriating configuration and passes the turn. Seriously, please, for the love of God, do not do this. I draw a Heavy Storm and my GOAT format brain tells me to slam it. Edison format responds with a Starlight Road. I'm in a significantly worse position than before. I summon Debris Dragon to go for Red Eye's Darkness Metal in hopes that I can get rid of the Stardust fast. Unfortunately for me, he has Bottomless, but fortunately for me, I have priority to summon White Knight. I attack the Stardust Dragon and pass the turn. He sets a whole fresh row of back row and passes back to me. I draw Upstart Goblin, play it, and find an Instant Fusion. I attack the set assuming it isn't a Raikou at this point, but indeed it is not a Raikou, rather a Nimble Mega Hamster to get a Raikou. He flips the Raikou to destroy my White Knight, and mills Gores, Debris Dragon, and Quick Draw. He sets Call to go with his newly filled graveyard along with another Bottomless and passes the turn. I draw Flamvell Guard and things aren't looking particularly better than before. I'm still under no threat, so I simply pass back. He simply changes the Raikou to defense, sets a Book of Moon, and passes back to me. I draw a White Stone of Legend. God, I could really use a Cards of Consonance right about now. I simply pass back. He sets another Hamster and passes to me. I draw Trade In, and suddenly we are off to the races. I use Trade In on Blue Eyes, and draw Debris Dragon and Future Fusion. At this point, I didn't yet have Wyvern to go with my Future Fusion, so I simply set my Flamvell Guard and pass the turn. Book of Moon resets the Raikou to destroy my guard. He mills Pot of Avarice, Sangan, and MST. He flips the Hamster and gets another Raikou, before attacking for 1300. However, I summon Trag off of the Raikou. The Trag's pretty big because I've got a full grip, and I figured I could stop him in his tracks. It's damage step, so he can't use the Bottomless on it, so I have a safe 3000 attack beater on my field. He sets Dandelion and passes the turn. I draw a second trade-in, still could really use that Cards of Consonance here. I go for Debris Dragon, getting back Flamvell Guard, and use Instant Fusion. The plan here is to use Black Rose since his field has gotten so bloated. But before I have the chance, he uses Torrential Tribute on the summon of Dragoness. Fur for my deal, but at least the monsters are cleared. The Raikou's gone, but the Dandelion makes 2 Dandy tokens. I activate Pot of Avarice, shuffling back White Knight, Blue Eyes, Debris Dragon, Dragzodia, and Guard. I draw Giant Trunade and Dragzodia again. Trunade is exactly what we need to deal with this back row, and I feel pretty good about our potential to win the game over time. He still hasn't put out any significant threat, and looking at his hand, all he has is a single Lad. But unfortunately for me, he draws Lonefire Blossom, going into Titanio. I finally draw the dang Cards of Consonance. I can now go off. I activate Cards of Consonance, discarding the White Stone, drawing 2 cards, and adding Blue Eyes White Dragon. And then use that Blue Eyes White Dragon for trade-in, drawing Pot of Avarice and a second White Stone. This hand is absolutely stacked, and I should be able able to find the win quite easily between the Trunade and the 2 red meds. I activate Trunade, and he activates Call of the Haunted, getting Dandelion for value. He's hoping these 5 tokens will save him. I assure you they won't. I finally use Feature Fusion, revealing 5 head, and send Whitestone, Guard, White Knight, and 2 Debris Dragon. I add Blue Eyes off of the debris. Using these freshly dumped cards, I use a second Pot of Avarice to start sculpting my hand and graveyard. I return Debris, Guard, Dragoness, and 2 Whitestone, only to draw into an additional Cards of Continents. I use the Cards of Continents on the new Whitestone and get another Blue Eyes White Dragon with another trade-in. You can really see how much value this deck can procure once it gets going. I use the second trade-in on the second Blue Eyes, drawing another Whitestone and Super Rejuvenation. I simply summon Debris, get back Whitestone, and use them both on Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragons. Edison format is pre-Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon errata, meaning I can summon it and use its effect as many times as I want in a turn, except for on itself. I use my 2 red meds to get back a White Knight and a Blue Eyes, and start crashing into his field. In 2 turns, I still have the 5-headed dragon, but I think the game will be over before then. In main 2, I activate Super Rejuve to try to find a magical stone excavation for Trunade. I need to use Trunade again in order to safely attack on the following turn. The Super Rejuve draws me 9 cards, and I keep the following 6 and pass the turn. My opponent goes Quick Draw into Drill Warrior, has to attack direct, uses effect, and sets the same 2 back row from before. At this point, the game is already over. I use Magical Stone Excavation on Trunade and attack with all. Going into game 2, my hand is awkward but not the worst. Gore certainly helps us stall and get to our big combo, but our opponent seems to have sided in Crow to disrupt our Pot of Avarice. Opponent goes first, summons Card Trooper, and mills a Lone Fire, Crow, and Mirror Force. He then sets Torrential and passes the turn. Seriously, why are you doing this? I draw my own Card Trooper and feel emboldened to summon it and activate its effect. I mill Magical Stone, Debris Dragon, and Cards of Continents. I use Cards of Continents on the debris in my hand to draw 2 more cards. They're not the best, to say the least. I simply attack his Card Trooper with mine to deal some chip damage. He draws a card, and I decide to draw more cards with Super Rejuve. He sets Raikou and 1 back row and passes back to me. I draw Red Med. A little early for it, but still feels good. I decide to keep milling with Card Trooper to try to turn on this Pot of Avarice. I mill Trade-In, Debris Dragon, and Quacky Dragon. Then I attack the set. The Raikou hits my Card Trooper. He mills a second Crow, Caius, and Pot of Avarice. At this point, I'm assuming he doesn't have a 3rd Crow, which was unfortunately incorrect. I draw Upstart Goblin off of Card Trooper, activate Upstart, and there's my 3rd Pot of Avarice. I activate my first Pot of Avarice and he crows Debris Dragon, so I just pass the turn with Gores. He uses Call of the Haunted on Lone Fire to get Titanial, summons a second Lone Fire, and attacks me with both of them. After the Titanial attack, I use Gores. He uses Lone Fire number 2 in main phase 2 to summon Dandelion in defense mode, and passes the turn. I draw a second Super Rejuvenation. I crash the Gores token into Titanial, and I attack the Dandelion with Gores. This would be my fatal mistake in this game. I simply hope the Gores will keep me safe. Little do I know, he already has brain control, and then Tribute summons Gores off the Dandy tokens, dealing me 54 damage to my 47. We are on to game 3. My game 3 hand is bad once again. But as you've seen, this deck will get there nonetheless with time. I set Whitestone of Legend to get Blue Eyes for trade-in and pass the turn. He sets Mega Hamster and 2 back row and passes the turn. I Upstart, draw Debris Dragon, and pass the turn. He summons Mega Hamster to get Raikou, then attacks into my stone. I grab Blue Eyes for my trade-in, and he passes the turn. On my turn, I use trade-in with my Blue Eyes, and draw Gores and trade-in. I summon Card Trooper and activate effect, milling Super Rejuvenation, a second Blue Eyes, and White Knight. I then attack into the Super Nimble to deal 800, and pass the turn. He predictably flips the Raikou to destroy my Trooper, and I draw Heavy Storm. He mills Mega Hamster, Call the Haunted, and Quick Draw. He summons his own Card Trooper, and mills Caius, Raikou, and Foolish Burial. I take 200 damage before summoning Trag against the Raikou. This is a big-ass Trag. I subsequently play Upstart Goblin, Heavy Storm the back row, and attack Raikou with my 4200 attack Dragzodia, dealing a whole 4000 damage to the opponent. I set Super Rejuve for hand size and pass the turn. He activates Card Trooper once again, milling Solemn, Quick Draw, and Sangan. Knowing the Solemn gone is really reassuring because it means that the Trunade later will safely resolve if I play it. He switches the Card Trooper to defense, sets a deep prison, and passes the turn. My opponent really hasn't answered my Trag yet, so I simply attack into the Card Trooper, which hits the deep prison. I set Debris Dragon as a wall and a way to clear hand, and pass the turn. My opponent activates Card Trooper and mills Lone Fire and MST. He sets Torrential and passes. I draw Blue Eyes, finally, for this trade-in, so I trade him with the Blue Eyes and draw Quacky Dragon and Giant Trunade. Knowing the Giant Trunade won't get solemned, I have all the time in the world to set up and make a big kill turn. I flip summon Debris, summon a second Debris, and try to make a synchro play with Card Trooper. I get Ancient Fairy Dragon, attack the Card Trooper with Debris, and attack directly with Ancient Fairy. Because he doesn't use this Torrential, he can't Gores. That's an interesting move for sure, but we'll see how it shakes out. After that, I activate Super Rejuve, drawing 2 cards, and pass the turn discarding the extra trade-in and extra Debris. My hand is absolutely sculpted. My opponent sets a Raikou, I draw Pot of Avarice. I play Pot of Avarice, returning Card Trooper, Debris, second Debris, White Knight, and Blue Eyes, drawing Flamville Guard and a second Pot of Avarice. Absolute gas. I use Giant Trunade to get rid of the set, and summon Kwakimaru Dragon to block Gores. I attack into his face down with the Drago, and he uses Raikou to destroy the Drago. This tells me that Gores is in his hand, and so I decide to attack with Debris over Ancient Fairy Dragon so that the Gores token is small. Looking back, this may not have been the best move versus just dealing the 2100 damage, but in the end it didn't matter too much, and getting rid of the token was quite helpful. I did of course have Lightning Vortex, so that is worth considering. After that, I pass the turn. Opponent goes Brain Control and Debris Dragon, summons Night Assailant, and makes their own Ancient Fairy Dragon in defense mode, before attacking mine with Gores. My opponent sets 2 and passes, but it's already too late. I use Card of Continents on Flamville Guard, drawing White Stone of Legend and Future Fusion. I use Magical Stone to get Trunade. I play Lightning Vortex to kill the monsters, and as my last 2 cards, I have Instant Fusion and White Stone to make a Synchro. Game, set, match.
So there you have it, folks. Dragon Turbo. Deck seems pretty decent, huh? But you want some real turbo? I mean some real turbo? We talking FTK turbo? That's right, I mean Dragzodia.
So this pile right here is our Dragzodia deck. It uses similar engines and concepts to the Dragon Turbo deck, only instead of trying to make a crazy big board, it's going for Exodia. We have Royal Magical Library for additional draw power, and we have a Toon Engine into Toon Blue Eyes to go with our trade-in. The goal here is to use a Super Rejuvenation to draw a bunch of cards, and then chain it into another Super Rejuvenation, so we have 3 reloads to find the Rejuvenations in end phase. Now you all know how people are about playing against Exodia, so I put no quit in the description to make sure that they won't quit. I'm sure that'll work out fine. I end up getting a game with Victim 94, Phantom 94, and take the play. I draw my grip of cards and whoa! Whoa! Hold the phone. Whoa! Is that Keymace? I guess it's Keymace. Anyway, I start to combo off. I use Cards of Consonance with White Stone, draw 2, get a Blue Eyes. I use Reload, keeping the upstarts in my hand in case I draw a library off of the reload. Everything goes exactly as planned, and I draw 2 upstarts along with my library, so I play the 2 upstarts with the library on the field to get 2 counters. I use Mallet to get a 3rd counter, shuffle 3 of my cards, keeping card destruction, and... No, please don't do this. Not like this. I said no quit in the description! You're legally obligated to stay if I say no quit in the description. Please. I need you in my life. I need your Keymace in my life. Please, don't go. Well, shit.
Overall, I'd say the Dragon Turbo deck is an absolute blast to play, but certainly not the most consistent deck out there by a long shot. It's a good time, definitely worth playing a couple games with for fun, but I don't think I would bring it to a tournament. As for the Dragzodia deck, yeah, no, that's gonna be a no. And with that, we are at the end of our Edison adventure. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We've got more GOAT format coming soon. I'm in a couple of tournaments right now, and I'm hoping to put some content out about that. For now, I've been Pui, and I hope you all have a lovely day.